Hi creative friends, as you might have guessed, I'm making paper again today, and I thought I'd take you along with me if you're interested in doing that with me today. I had these egg cartons. They're kind of this sort of yellow color. I guess you call this yellow ochre or something like that. And so I saved them, ripped them up, and put them just in this container and soaked them for several days. You don't have to soak them that long, but it just so happened that I had several days in between the time I did this and the day that I put all this in the glass container, so it will make it extra easy to blend. This is my paper blender. It's just a plastic blender container, and I think I paid about $20 for it, but I definitely keep it just for paper and have another blender for food. Just want to dump all of this in there. Then I'm going to add a little bit extra water, plus that'll get all the rest of the paper out of this container. And I'm just going to be blending this up now. So now I've added the pulp. It looks really gross at this stage, but it's just blended up paper. And now I'm going to add a couple of blenders full of water. Okay, I'm adding 5. So 5 blenders full. And now I'm going to add a little bit of this glitter that I've had for a long time. And I've used this in paper making before. I like how it looks, so I'm just gonna add some of that. And I'm gonna add a few of these little pink plastic stars. Got those at the Dollar Tree one day. I want to stick to my wet fingers. Just pour them in. And then I've dried some flowers from one of my hanging pots over the summer season last year, and I'm just going to put some of those in. I like how these dried flowers look, especially these. These are in some other paper that I've had for a long time. I just like how they turn out in paper. You can see they're also really easy to pull out and dry. There'll be a whole bunch of these in each little pod, and you just pull them out. And of all the flowers I've used so far in making paper, these are my favorite, and just the way that they hold up and stick in the paper. Okay, and then we'll have our mold and decal. And my husband made these for me out of some screen and just some pieces of wood. And you want to put it in with the flat side going in, not with the lip. So be sure that you put the flat side up, and then you put your decal on top like this, and that shapes your paper for you. And just mix this up. Mix in all those little additives you put in there. The paper that you make in the beginning of a batch is always going to be a bit thicker. It gets thinner as you go, and you can always add more slurry, or you can add more pulp to make more slurry as you go along, which I'm going to be probably doing, adding some more of that white paper that I've had. I've been saving all of the shreds and bits and pieces for a long time from the past few journals I've made, and just all the paper, instead of throwing it in the trash, I've been saving it for this purpose. So I really like to recycle when I can. I don't always get to do that, but when I can, I like to. And if you've been here a while, thank you for coming back. My name's Laura, so if you're new, welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. Once you get this evenly on your mold and decal, you're going to move it to the surface where you're going to take it off of here. So I need to readjust my camera so I can show you that. So just a second. We have finally bought a house, and so we're in the process of making some renovations and getting moved and all of that. So I'm kind of working in a tight space, and don't have my normal setup, which my normal setup is nothing fancy anyway, but it's just a little less fancy right now. So you remove your decal like I just did, and then you flip this over, and I've got these shop towels. I've got 2 laid down here, and you just flip it over like this, and then if you have any flowers that have gotten stuck on the back or anything, you just take them off and put them back in the water. And then you just take a sponge and get the water out. And you can just squeeze your water back in your container over here with all of your water in it. And as you take out the water, the paper will start to release from the screen. And then you can just raise it up like that. I apologize for the shadows. I hope that's not too distracting. There's not a lot I can do about that, I don't think. So today I'll just have to work with the shadows. But anyway, so the flowers will be on the other side of the paper, but I don't know if you can kind of see those little stars and the glitter. And as it dries, the paper will lighten up a lot. But right now it's pretty mustard colory, isn't it? Okay, so what I do is I'll just take this and move it to a cutting board. Just have some old plastic cutting boards like this, and I'm just going to move it to the cutting board like that. That made that a little bit wrinkly because of how I moved it, but that's okay. It'll be fine once it dries. Gives it a little character anyway. But, okay, so that's how I do that. And then I'll just add 2 more of my shop towels here. And I'm going to repeat that process again. Just want to stir it up each time. Be sure it's evenly distributed through there. And this time I'm going to make a little bit smaller one. Just let that water drain out. And back over here, I'm going to remove that top piece and turn that over. And there we go. Just move this over, put it on top just like that. And repeat the process. And I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then when I switch over and add some of the different color to this, put the white in there, I'll show you a few pieces of that as well. Okay, I've added a little bit of book page, but not quite so mixed, not quite so blended, so you can see the words a little bit, and I've added a little bit of that white mixture, the white scrap paper. So I wanted to see how this turns out. And you know, something I wanted to tell you, and if you've done this before, then you'll know this. When you first start dipping your mold and decal into a mixture, you're going to get a lot thicker paper. And I may have already said that, but you know, it would be good for making cards or cutting up as ephemera. You can also fold it and use it as pages in your journal. It's just going to be quite a bit thicker, that's all. But wow, this is some spotty looking paper. Wonder what that's going to look like when it dries. Probably be pretty neat. Just going to drain a little bit more of that water. And I've got so much paper, I'm probably going to be here all day, maybe even tomorrow, making paper. But once it dries, I'll show you how it turns out. And what I do is just keep stacking this up, and I've got several different cutting boards that once it gets stacked up, I don't know, with 4 or 5 different pieces, I can move to another cutting board so it can dry faster. And I usually set it on my patio with a fan blowing on it, or if it's a sunny day, I'll put it in the window where the sun can shine on it. So, but the cutting boards makes it easy to move it around from place to place, and I like that, so I always use the cutting boards. But anyway, so you can see I've started stacking it, and once I get 3 or 4 more pieces on top of here, I'll move to another cutting board, and I can go ahead and put this under the outside with the fan and start it to dry. But I like the speckles in it, and you can see the glitter twinkling a little bit. So, all right, I'm just gonna keep on doing that. And if you have any questions about this part of the process, you can just ask me in the comments. I'm no expert by any means, but I just like to share what I'm doing with you in case you're interested. And I'll be back with you and show you the finished products. I wanted to show you this one last thing before I put all this away. The paper's still drying, but you can save your pulp by straining it. So you just pour the water from your slurry pan into a strainer, and I've just set it in here like this so that it's easy for me to pour without having to hold the strainer as well. And then you can re-wet this later and use it again. So I just need to let that drain. You can see there's a lot still of pulp left from this, but this pan that I was using to dip my mold and decal in is too big, and so the slurry was getting too thin, and I would have needed to transfer it to a smaller tote or container. So I don't have time to do that today, so I've just decided to go ahead and drain this, and I'm going to keep it for next time. Here's an example of one where I've done that, so it's all dry, and then when I stick this into water, it will dissolve back out into pulp, and then you just add it to your next blender batch. But I'm just going to continue to squeeze out the excess water from this, and then it will be able to be balled up into a little ball. Not so little, will it be? It'll be kind of a medium size or large ball. It holds a lot of water, so by pushing it down into the strainer like this, it helps you. It's going to get a lot more out than if you just squeeze it like this. That doesn't get near as much water out, so just pressing down into the strainer like that. Just be careful if your glass is kind of flimsy, you don't want to break your glass pushing on it too hard. And then just put it in a ball like this. And it'll dry out and you can use it again. Well, here we are, next day. It dried overnight, and I'm going to start with the big pieces, show you how they turned out. I was really happy with it, as I thought. They did dry a little bit lighter. Start with the darkest ones first. So we got this one, which is pretty close to the color of the egg carton, and I can tell that on camera it's showing up more brown than mustard, but it is a more mustard color, and it's got little glimmers of glitter in it. Not a lot, but a little bit. And then it's got all these flowers. This one has a lot of flowers, more than I would actually probably want, but that's all right. That happens sometimes. And then I like the texture of this one. This was that first piece I put on the cutting board, and there's that little spot right there that I thought it would turn out fine, and it did. So these are 8.5 by 11 sheets here. This one has a lot of glitter. So these can be folded over and put in a journal, or you can cut them up, or you could even make a journal cover out of them if you wanted to. And then we've got the speckled pieces. As I added more of the white paper, this one's really speckled. This one, like I said, looks like granite or something like that, but I like that one too. There's another speckledy one. There's quite a few flowers. You can see the words, some of them sticking through. I always think that's neat. And then there's the little stars are in there too that we added. And there's another one of those. I made quite a few pieces, and like you saw yesterday, I still have that huge ball that I can re-wet and make probably about half as much as I have here. So there's that sheet. And this one. This one has cool texture. Look at that. I love it when it turns out like that. Just that subtle. This one actually does too. These lighter colors show that really well. More so than the darker colors. But anyway, I really like that. It's got all these little different flecks of color in there. And then got quite a few of these smaller pieces. I like how this little flower. Look how it fanned out. That's neat. I think these are some of my favorite pages I've made so far. And like I said earlier, I have a paper making video on my channel already, and in that one I used words and put them in one at a time, book page words that I had ripped out, and also used flowers that I put in after I brought the slurry out of the water and before I took it off the screen. So if you're interested in seeing that, that's just a different way of doing the flowers instead of putting them in the slurry like this. But flowers like this work really well when you put them in the slurry. So I like that because they actually, with my experience, they stick and stay better. And the others will too, but not as well, because they're not really as embedded in the paper. But and then there's a darker sheet there. So got lots of pages there. And then for these smaller ones, I used my Sizzix machine. I bought a Big Shot. It's been months ago now, and I've just barely used it, so I wanted to use it on these, and it worked out perfectly. I'll show you. These folders were a really good size for the papers, so I really enjoyed getting to use these. And you just put that in your Sizzix machine, and then this one's a little bit smaller. It's actually the perfect size for these pieces of paper. And then it embosses it for you. So I had this one with the roses. It's got that little stamp there, and then it's got some words here. It's not really something you can read, but I forget what they call that when it's not actually words, but it looks like writing. This page is cool, how it has these little tattered edges, and then the back looks like that. So this was so fun to use that Sizzix, and it just gives us a whole new dimension. It just makes it so much more fun. I am just thrilled with that. This folder made a really very well embossed piece. So I'm really happy with this one. I like it with the flowers there. And there's how the back looks. So I tried to make one in each color. Won't these make great cards? I've got a book to send back to a friend. She let me borrow it, and I need to mail it back to her, so I thought I'd make her a card with one of these to thank her for letting me borrow her book. This is a half of a mandala type of thing, so that's really neat too. And then this one is dandelions blowing. I like dandelions. And then these were, oh yeah, I had this one too. This one came with the Sizzix, just some little hearts that overlap each other. It's pretty neat too. And there's the back of that one. And then I was playing around one day. I just thought I'd show you these with some index cards, and I was just randomly just spraying different food coloring and shimmer sprays on, just for relaxation, really. And I thought, well, what am I going to do with those? And then so I ran them through one of the embossing folders, and it sort of gave them a nice little life. And then look at this one on the back. So that's neat. I mean, you can, if you have a Sizzix, you can turn just plain index cards into something kind of cool. So these could be turned into cards too, or tags. Well, probably, well, they'd be big tags because you could turn that whole thing into a tag. Well, so that's my paper making video. And with us moving and everything, I may show you some of that process. If you'd like to see it, we're going to be doing some renovations. We've got a kitchen renovation, and I could show you that if you'd like to see it. And some other stuff we're doing. I've got a lot of like DIY projects that I want to do for the house, like some planters, not planners, like journal planters with plants, and some landscaping and, you know, things like that, which I thought I might share. And I have enjoyed spending time with you today. I hope wherever you are out there in the world that you are doing well and feeling okay. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for watching. Bye.